Lotus is changing almost everything it once represented, except for one key element. The British brand is no longer worried about building lightweight, modestly powered sports cars, and instead it's introducing a new generation of luxury, high-powered electric passenger vehicles. So what's that one thing they haven't abandoned? Well, that would be their motto, for the driver. Now this is the Lotus Emeya. It's the British brand's new electric sports sedan. So let's find out if it really is for the driver. Let's start with the design, and while Lotus calls this a Hyper GT, it's clearly a four-door model, but it does have a very sporty and dynamic look. It's the other half of Lotus's new era of vehicles alongside the Electra SUV I've already reviewed, and the pair have a clear future-focused design language that Lotus is looking to establish as it reinvents itself. Like the Electra, the Emeya has presence, looking fast even when it's standing still, although, like the Electra, it also has some awkward angles, in particularly the rear three-quarter, that suggests some of the design was compromised by other factors. But overall, it's a vehicle that makes a very clear and bold visual statement. And that bold, modern design carries over to the interior, which looks really plush and premium. The Emeya is a direct rival to the likes of the Porsche Taycan and the Audi e-tron GT in terms of its performance, its concept, and its price. The range begins at approximately $190,000 for the entry-grade model known simply as the Emeya, and then steps up through the Emeya S for just under $210,000, and then the Emeya R crowns the lineup at nearly $260,000, all before on-road costs. For comparison, Porsche's Taycan rear-wheel drive is priced from $175,000 and the Taycan 4S from $216,000, while Audi's e-tron GT is priced from $182,000 and the RS model just over $250,000. So Lotus has got it in the ballpark of its key competition. Now, if you want to know more about the specifications of the Emeya range, check out my in-depth written review at carsguide.com.au. In terms of practicality, the Emeya is a huge step forward for Lotus. It's in terms of it being a much more luxurious and premium offering. And so we've got plenty of leather and, premium materials. But you've also got a lot of technology, this large central touchscreen that runs all the infotainment, all the air conditioning, basically all the functionality inside the car is run through this large central tablet style display. And then in terms of practicality, well, you've got, the usual, you've got a couple of cup holders, you've got a wireless charging pad, you've got a little shelf under here, a little storage box here. There's a good amount of storage, but you do sort of feel that this is very much a driver-focused car rather than trying to be overtly, a limousine. Having said that, it's actually really spacious in the back seat too. This is plenty of room for me as a roughly 180 centimeter, adult. You'll get two people in absolute comfort back here. You've got some good creature comforts. You've got adjustability here on the seats. You've got USB ports in the back. You've got cup holders. Basically, everything you need to, sit back, relax, and while the driver has some fun. And then one cool little feature that it does have that speaks to that premium and luxurious element of this new era of Lotus is the sunroof, the glass roof really, can change from matte, as you can see here, it's opaque, press of a button, it's clear. Now sure, that's not a brand new feature in cars, but it's new to Lotus, and frankly, it's still pretty cool. And in terms of luggage capacity, the Emeya has a fairly deep boot that can swallow up to 509 litres of luggage, while there's a smaller under bonnet storage at the front, which is primarily used for storing the charging cable. Under the bonnet, as mentioned earlier, there are three different versions of the Emeya, with the standard, the Emeya S, and then the more potent Emeya R. The Emeya and the Emeya S have a dual-motor electric powertrain that makes 450 kilowatts and 710 newton meters, while the Emeya R elevates the performance to a seriously impressive 675 kilowatts and 985 newton meters. Now, if you're paying close attention, you may notice those are the same figures as the Electra SUV, highlighting a key strength of this new era of electrification for Lotus, transferable powertrains with some epic performance. However, despite sharing the same powertrains, the clear benefit of a lower, sleeker Hyper GT body is a boost in driving range. So when we look at efficiency, all three Emeya variants share the same 102 kilowatt lithium-ion battery and 800 volt architecture. The entry grade and the Emeya S models have a claimed WLTP range of between 500 to 610 kilometers, while the more powerful R can manage between 435 to 485 Ks. So this is literally where the rubber meets the road for the Emeya. I'm on a nice open piece of country road here. This is, it's a winding, fast, exciting piece of road. This is where Lotuses of old have thrived. They love, corners. And they're never really a huge fan of the straights because Lotuses in the past were not super powerful. But the Emeya S, it's got some grunt. And you can tell the moment you get in it that it's actually something a little bit different. You've got paddles in the steering wheel, so you can adjust, not the gears, but actually the regen braking on one side, so you can dial it up or down based on the conditions. And on the other side, you can adjust the drive mode. So with the click of the paddle here, I dial up sport mode, the seats hug me tighter, and I can already feel a bit more dynamic, inspired to drive with a bit more precision and enjoyment. This is what Lotus means by for the driver. Yes, it's incredibly rapid in a straight line. It has fantastic acceleration like you'd expect from such a powerful electric vehicle. But really where the Emeya impresses even more is the handling. This genuinely, I think the Taycan is a fantastic handling car and you'd expect nothing less from a Porsche. But in the same way, I really wouldn't expect anything less from Lotus. This is a very dynamic car. Is it light? No, it's the opposite of light. It's over 2.5 tons. It's a big vehicle. The battery alone weighs pretty much what a Lotus Elan of the 1960s would have weighed in its entirety. So it is very big and very different, but it's also very fun. It is a genuinely fun, enjoyable car to drive, and that is unmistakably Lotus. That is a trademark of what Lotus was. They're using the technology and the know-how that Geely, its new parent company, brings for being a big Chinese vehicle maker with a lot of experience with batteries and electric motors. But at the same time, Lotus has retained its British, ride and handling knowledge. And, the same men and women that helped design cars like the Exige and the new Emira have clearly had a hand in this because it has, fantastic road holding, corners really well. Like I say, the steering is really nice and direct. And that is what makes it so enjoyable on a road like this. Well, as for safety, that's another area of dramatic change for Lotus. And as you can tell by that fact that the car just beeped at me, part of it is it's loaded with active safety. Obviously, Lotus of the past was designed to be light as humanly possible, and therefore you didn't want to add in sensors and cameras and radar and LiDAR and all sorts of technology that this car has to try and keep you safe. So on the plus side, you've got, autonomous emergency braking, speed limit warning, lane keeping warning, speed limit alarm. On the downside, it also means you have, a lot of technology talking at you a lot of the time. It's, you're going to get, a lot of beeps and bongs. You're going to get a lot of, vibration in the wheel. You can change it. You can turn it on, turn it off, adjust the settings. So it isn't, certainly it's not a bad thing, but it's certainly very, very different for Lotus. As for its ownership credentials, Lotus doesn't offer cap price servicing, so you'll need to discuss the ongoing maintenance cost for your Emeya with your local dealer. Every one of these new electric Lotus models is covered by a 5-year 150,000 kilometre warranty with an 8-year 200,000 kilometre warranty for the battery. The Emeya is almost entirely unrecognisable from any previous Lotus, Electra excluded, with its blend of performance and luxury and electricity. However, it's an incredibly dynamic and engaging vehicle to drive, And that feels very much like a Lotus. Now, if you want to know more about the Emeya or any Lotus, make sure you check out my in-depth written reviews at carsguide.com.au.